I've seen homes hit their peak and then decline back down in neighborhoods and so forth. And this, unfortunately, is the trend because we don't want to leave the house that we've grown to love and have so many memories in it. And so our house actually goes down in value, that greatest asset that people talk about. Well, it shouldn't be your greatest asset. Don't dump all your wealth there. Well, hey there, folks. This is Colin Richards, and I'm thrilled to be with you once again on this episode of the Lord and Richard Show. And as we have continued to do for many years, we are teaching people through the medium of video and audio how to obtain, maintain, and increase their financial independence. And by financial independence, I just simply mean, and my clients express to me, their desire to be able to live independently of a job if they so desire. Now, some of you love your work. You want to just keep right on going. That's great. The idea, though, is that you're not doing it because you have to, but because you want to, right? Doing the things that you love with the people that you love in the places and for the reasons that you love. And in the last series, I began talking about what it means to be healthy, wealthy, and happy for life. And we started with wealth. You might be surprised by that, but wealth doesn't buy happiness, you might say. And that's true, but it gets us access to services. It gets us access to resources and tools and experiences that can enhance, number one, our health, and number two, our happiness and our vitality and our enjoyment of life. So I'm going to lay a financial foundation for those other two, but recognizing that happiness and health are more important than wealth, but it's just difficult to achieve them without it, okay? And so in that series, the last three segments we did prior, I talked about what it meant to build and achieve wealth in your 20s. And I talked about the necessity of taking advantage of that compounding for life, avoiding overspending on your first home, making compounding work for you and not against you, prioritizing giving and saving, only spending half your check, that's a big one, and investing aggressively, but still utilizing the principle of the barbell. In other words, part of your money, safe, principal protected, growing moderately, the other part aggressively growing. And yes, there's risk, but we can handle that if we've got the barbell going for us. And then, of course, saving tax-free as much as you can. Now, I also encouraged you, and today we're going to dive into the next decade, into your 30s and into your 40s. And I encouraged you, hey, if God is leading you to have children and to build and grow your family, wonderful. But just recognize they're expensive, right? And so consider that cost. The Bible encourages us to consider the cost before we sit down and build, just like a wise builder would do. And so we can help you at Lord and Richards. We work with people in all generations. Yes, many of our clients are retirees because they've already accumulated wealth. But how wonderful it is when we get to sit down with younger clients still in their careers, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on, who want to build that foundation. And that's exciting for us as well. And so when you begin that family, I want you to start saving for college immediately. My wife and I had this benefit in that her parents, my son's grandparents, gave us money to put away and to save for college. And their goal was that one day they would see their grandson walk across that stage. And I'm excited to say they were there when he obtained his degree and graduated magna cum laude. It was a special day that we had been planning for 22 years, right? 21 years, however long it took. And so, folks, that kind of delayed gratification is made possible through saving. And so in your 30s and 40s, we want to continue that idea forward. And I don't want you to focus on building up the expense side of your balance sheet, or of your income and expense report, right? So a good business runs with a profit and loss, or an income and expense report if it's a nonprofit, and it has a balance sheet. Well, we want to see your balance grow, and in order to do that, that means you have to have more income than expenses. And if you're following my advice, only spending half of your check, including your taxes, saving and giving and the other part, then you're going to be in great shape when it's time to step away from the job. Or if you keep on working, you'll know that you don't have to. So don't keep up with the Joneses is my theme for the 30s and 40s. And that seems to be the trend more and more and more and more. Our boomer grandparents, our Gen X parents, they came off of some financial crises and so forth. But younger generations are less understanding of that. Now, we've had COVID and we've had other things, but they haven't really seen the impact of long-term, deep recessions. Well, folks, they're out there. They're going to happen. And when you build up the expense side of your balance sheet, of your expense report, you are going to see your balance sheet go down during times of difficulty. So don't fall prey to lifestyle creep. That's the idea that every time you get a raise or a new source of income, it just gets absorbed and your expenses increase and you go for the bigger house and the nice car and so forth. You shouldn't be buying new cars, as other well-known individuals tell us, unless you're in a place where you can literally do that cash, right? And even then, you need to consider depreciation and how quickly that vehicle is going to depreciate. With a home, it is often a mistake to overload your money into your home and into rental homes and so forth. Nothing wrong with that, but recognize that the long-term growth of those investments are only around the rate of inflation. You say, well, I'm in a hot area. Well, what's hot today is not tomorrow. And I've seen homes, now that I've lived a few years, I've seen homes hit their peak and then decline back down in neighborhoods and so forth. And this, unfortunately, is the trend because we don't want to leave the house that we've grown to love and have so many memories in it. And so our house actually goes down in value, that greatest asset that people talk about. Well, it shouldn't be your greatest asset. Don't dump all your wealth there. And in the past, the advice has been to just push yourself almost to poverty in expanding and growing and having a bigger house and so forth, all the toys that go with it. Don't let that do that. Don't let your children's expenses bury you, right? We all want to give our children a great life, but I've seen folks overspend on their children. And now this especially is a concern when you're already retired or in your older years and your children are still absorbing money from you. Don't let that happen, okay? And then I don't want you to borrow. Don't keep borrowing other than for your home. I understand in the early days it's tough and so forth, but learn to live within your means and not your entire paycheck, just half your paycheck, giving and saving the other part. Why do I say don't borrow except for your home? Don't other people say not to even borrow for your home? Well, the problem is a home is a massive purchase. And yes, you could just rent and save, but the problem is property values as they go up tend to go up similar to inflation rates, which today compete pretty heavily with savings rates, right? You say, well, I'll throw my money into the market and get 12%. Not likely, okay? You're more likely to lose your money. So don't borrow to get a bigger home. But do borrow when you're first getting started, and it's okay to maintain a mortgage at a low interest rate. When interest rates are high, sit on your hands, wait, get some money into the bank, save up for that down payment, and wait for a more reasonable rate of mortgage. And that is livable, but I don't want you borrowing money for cars, credit card debt, clothes, all these things that will bury you. So in your 30s and 40s, don't keep up with the Joneses. In your 20s, get compounding working for you. Start saving early. Well, in our next segment, we're going to dive into those next decades of your 50s and 60s. But before I do that, I want you to remember that at Lord & Richards, we're meeting with folks just like you every single day to help you achieve the financial independence that I'm describing. And statistics say that when folks have an advisor, even their investment returns go up by an average of 3%. We want to help you. The visit is complimentary. It just starts with a simple phone call.